What am I playing now? I'm playing Dungeon Link.
Ah, okay.
It's sort of a puzzle game, but they also did a tie-in with Adventure Time.
Oh.
So it's cute, but at the same time, you're like, I gotta beat my previous score, and I gotta beat this guy, and it's also a pay-to-win. So it's kind of sad that I know no matter how hard I work, someone else is gonna drop $300 of mommy's money and kick my ass.
Well, personally, I don't play video games because those are for children, and I'm an adult, sir.
Do you watch cartoons?
No, those are for children, sir.
Oh. I gotta rethink my life. Alright, welcome back to the FoundryCast. I, of course, am Cyrus.
And I am Zach.
And we are the noble knights of the 90s references and video games and 80s as well a bit.
Yeah, a little bit of 80s in there.
So, big weekend we just wrapped up with over here. DragonCon 2016.
The 30th anniversary of DragonCon.
Was it as big as they expected?
It was huge. I know last year they were close to 75,000. There was speculation they'd break 80,000 this year.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the number yet, but I can believe it.
Felt just as busy, if not more than last year.
The nice thing I will say is they've done a better job of expanding outward a little bit, so that while there are definitely more people, getting from place to place is better than it used to be. You know, when I went to the con 3-4 years ago, some of the hallways, the habit trails, they're called, little sky bridges, would get really badly wedged up. And this year, I didn't really ever get stopped anywhere. It was pretty free-flowing, so it was good.
After 30 years, hopefully they are paying attention to the flow of who goes where the tracks go. And it seemed as if they were moving some things, not exactly off premises, but more things happening locally.
Yeah, there were some problems that we had with that. I mean, it was nice. They moved some of the programming to what's called the America's Mart, which is this huge, like, shopping convention center thing.
Sure.
That's over there. It's only a block or two from the rest of the hotels and stuff, so it's close, but it's kind of off. And they moved some of the programming there, which definitely spread the crowd out a little bit, which was nice. But for some reason this year they were doing this weird thing, at least on, I think it was Saturday, where they were limiting capacity of the building, because it's the same building the vendors are in. So there were a lot of people in there.
Okay.
And somebody I was with was trying to get to a panel in the building, and they wouldn't let her in because they were at capacity and she missed the panel.
Ouch.
So that was kind of frustrating, where it's like, don't put panels in a place that's going to reach max capacity, because that's not fair to people. I noticed on, I think it was Sunday, we were waiting in line to get into the vendors, and there was somebody out there saying, hey, if you want to do the panel here, come to this side, we'll take you in. So I think they were learning as they went over the weekend, but that was the big problem I saw with that move.
Do you remember what the panel was that...
It was a Star Trek panel, actually. They moved the Star Trek track into that building, which is kind of surprising because, Star Trek.
This is what, the 50th anniversary? This is a big anniversary year.
That was actually a problem because there was I forget the name of the convention, but there was a Star Trek convention in New York over the same weekend as DragonCon that was huge, and it drew like all of the Star Trek stars away.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There was very little Star Trek presence there, at least in terms of celebs this year at DragonCon, which is kind of disappointing because years past we've had Nimoy and Next Gen people, Patrick Stewart, be there, and none of them were there this year.
And we have a good friend who, Star Trek lover, and I believe that the tickets for the Star Trek convention that's in Las Vegas.
Yeah, the big one in Vegas.
So the prices skyrocketed on hotels, and even the price of the ticket itself is almost double what it was before, because they know that everybody's going to pitch in, and I don't know about the stars able to make it or not, but that's a shame that DragonCon is such an icon of the industry for this, and I can see go to where your fan base is, but it seems like a lot of your fan base is always going to be at DragonCon.
Yeah. I don't know, it was interesting. I think in one weird way it made me happy. Honestly, the celebrity lineup wasn't that good this year. It was probably the weakest I've ever seen at a DragonCon, and I felt like a good thing because it made me realize that the DragonCon, the con itself, is, it's not like Comic-Con, where it's, all these celebs are coming and Hollywood's going to release a DragonCon is DragonCon. It is what it is. It doesn't have to rely on that kind of stuff. It made me realize, we were talking about, we were looking at some of the costumes from other conventions across the country this year, and just talking about how they're different in a weird way from costumes at DragonCon, where everything at DragonCon feels more personal, more handcrafted, more
homemade.
It's a big group of friends.
The love of the fandom.
Rather than a big convention that there's a bunch of money in. I don't know. I might be wrong about that, but that's kind of the feeling that I got, and was what we were kind of discussing. It was an interesting aspect this year. Overall, though, the convention was a good one. It was big. It was fun. There was lots to do. It was noisy and a big party like it always is. There were some really standout things that I enjoyed. They had a couple of arcades that were really awesome.
Yeah, you mentioned that, the Japanese-style arcade.
There was a Japanese arcade and then a retro arcade with some pinball machines that were choice. They were both free to play, so it was great to just walk in and just play whatever you want. They were a little small, is my only complaint. I think it was the first year they were doing it, though, so hopefully next year they're going to grow those a little bit so that, there's not lines as much. But those were a lot of fun. They expanded the vendors onto a third level this year, which was cool, so those are growing. There's more to look at there. Like I said, the footprint is getting bigger, and the whole con is expanding, and it's a lot of fun.
With almost 80,000 people there at one time, that's a huge stockpile of people, of humanity.
It is.
And you and I both have some similarities where we enjoy our social time. We also like our private time, our quiet time.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like there'd be that much quiet time whilst at the con.
No, not really.
A lot of people everywhere, a lot of lines, a lot of noise. How did you deal with going around from area to area? Because even to get into some of the ballrooms, you had to wait in line.
Sure. It's interesting because thinking about it, I'm, like you said, I like private time. I'm not a person who likes crowds generally. I hate waiting. I hate waiting in line. If I ever go to a restaurant and there's a wait, I'm like, okay, I'm going somewhere else. I am very unwilling to wait for things.
I hate having to queue up at even the movie theater. That's why I will do Fandango. I will walk in.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay that upcharge than stand in line for 15 minutes.
I don't know. I think it's un-American, damn it. But, that being said, DragonCon is the one place on Earth where I am happy to be in a crowd. I don't mind waiting. I think it's just, it's a mental choice, and I think it's something I've developed. When you go to the convention several years in a row, you realize, okay, I'm gonna have to wait. And you just, going into it, you accept that, and you kind of forgive it, and you realize how great it is that you're standing in line for something, kind of shuffling your way in. Well, guess what? While you're doing that, you're seeing people in costume. You're high-fiving people. You're dancing. You're having fun.
Yeah.
So,
I think the community aspect builds to that because you're all going in with the same excitement. It's almost as if you're in line the night before the movie premiere, the night the movie premieres.
Yeah, it's like going to the Star Wars movie, the night premiere.
So even though you're waiting in line, everybody's kind of in the same boat with you, so you forgive that.
Yep.
But there's so much extra entertainment going on just by the fact of everyone being there.
It's not waiting in the line at the post office. Mm-hmm. It's not waiting for a machine to open up at the laundromat. Mm-hmm. You're all friends there, hanging out, doing the same stuff, waiting to go in and see William Shatner. It's great.
Now, for me, a lot of times I can zone out in the middle of the crowd, especially if I can listen to some music or a podcast. Yeah. Depends on where I am in the day and what kind of convention's going on. I think this would be more entertaining, but would you say that it might be prudent for someone who's going to a convention to maybe have their electronics sort of sorted out? Because if you're going to be taking pictures, I've even suggested to some people going to different kinds of conventions to bring one of the portable battery backups for your phone so you can recharge it at least,
It's a good idea to have, especially if you're playing Pokemon Go a lot, which a lot of people were. It drains your battery fast. There's a vendor there that sells those, and they're pre-charged. They're ready to go. You pay $15, they give it to you. Boom, you're good. You're charging the battery.
You're good for the whole weekend.
So Yeah, there's a lot of people that have, although I didn't see as many this year, but, have their Game Boys out or whatever. They're sitting there playing, waiting in line. Having your phone ready, all that good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. But, like I said, if you go into the assumption that you know what you're getting into and you're accepting that fact, you're gonna have fun, and you can still find moments of quiet. One of the things that we did is, we were staying in the Marriott Marquis, which ends up being kind of the central hotel. Well, I guess it is in the center actually, but the lobby ends up being like party central. Very loud. But you go up to the second or third floor, walk out onto the little balcony in front of the rooms, and we sat there and had a beer and just watched the crowd from up there.
Okay.
And so there's noise and crowd, but you're by yourself leaning on a rail looking at stuff. So you're you can detach yourself to different amounts, to different levels from that. You can go back to your room, shut the door, put on music, chill out if you need to. There's options there.
I wish I was the kind of person who got my emotional batteries charged that way.
Yeah.
Because I would just be vibing for the next year with how much energy and
humanity. That's the other thing is, like, for me, being very introverted, I have to, the week before the con, kind of like close off from the world and kind of just like build up and get ready, sit and, watch movies or something all week and build up that internal battery because I know I'm going to be discharging it with, 80,000 drunk people for 4 days. So, like I said, as long as you can prepare and you're ready for that, yeah.
So I imagine the costumes were outrageous. Most people were probably, on average, were in civilian attire, just going to the convention.
Yeah.
But maybe a lot of geeky apparel.
Yeah, definitely a lot of nerdy shirts. Yeah, I'd say it's like split, like 30%, third, a third.
Mm-hmm.
Third costume, third geeky shirt, third.
Were there any cool like T-shirts that stood out that you thought, oh god, I would pay for that in a heartbeat? Where's the vendor? But you knew it was probably something.
Oh man, I'm trying to remember. There was one T-shirt that somebody had that I thought was great, and I honestly can't remember it. I'm sorry. I did buy a T-shirt myself though. That's one of the things when I'm looking. I always like to look, and this year I made it a point that I wanted to get at least one T-shirt to wear. Looking at the vendors. What I don't like is there are a lot of vendors that are selling, it's like a blue T-shirt with a Captain American shield on it. And it's like, well, that's the same crap that you get at Target, that anybody can go buy. It's really boring. But there are also some vendors there that sell like original design, like really nerdy, cute stuff.
Yeah.
So I got one, it may not be an original design, but I've never seen it before. It was a shirt that has a dagger, and underneath it has a D4. Then it has like a short sword and it has or a long sword has a D6, and then a great sword and 2D6, or a D8 and 2D6. And it said, no matter what I roll, somebody's getting stabbed. It's a cute shirt. That's the kind of thing that you see like cute shirts like that there. And I always like seeing like, it was started becoming, I think, more popular a couple years ago, and it's definitely supplemented this year. There's all those girls with like the TARDIS dress on.
Yes.
It's cute. And you see that, and it's like, you don't see that most of the rest of the year. You do sometimes. But most of the rest of the year, they're in their uniform they wear to work. So seeing folks in that kind of stuff, that it is fun.
So costuming is such a big deal of the convention.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because for some people, for you, and in the future for me, it's a very important part of going to convention.
Absolutely, yeah.
Although it's not at all necessary, it's not expected by the people who are putting on the convention. It's just a natural byproduct of the community.
Yeah.
And so with that, you want to put on a costume that you it's something that you love, it's something that you think is cool, it's something that you have the ability to build. Maybe you just happen to have the money to be able to procure the items. But when you put on that costume, you sort of change forms. And costumes are such an important part of going to the convention. And what I think is interesting is that it's not even part of the convention the way it's built. It's just what the community brings to the table because of the fandom.
It's becoming now. I mean, their costume contest built in. But yeah, you're right, then that's not the focus of the convention.
You're not going to be in the contest. You're going because you love to build costumes and you want to be involved. Yeah. But when you do slip into whatever that is, I think that people's personality changes somewhat. depending on what it is, or maybe you just go to have fun. You put on the geeky t-shirt doesn't mean you're going to be anything more like Batman.
Sure.
It's just what you're wearing.
I will say I did have Batman tell me he liked my shirt. On Monday, we met a group that were doing Justice League, and so we got a picture with him, and Batman was like, "Dude, I like your shirt."
You should have been like, "Dude, I like your belt."
You always think of the right thing to say afterwards. In retrospect, my response should have been, "Dude, I really like how you beat the crap out of criminals." But
your cape matches your eyes.
But I didn't. It was my Power Rangers shirt from Loot Crate, by the way, which I saw several people there wearing. So whatever.
It's a great shirt. It's
Batman
probably the best one
they
put out, in my opinion.
I was pretty excited, but.
But I think when you put it on, and my history in theater, wearing other costumes, I even remember when my family still owned a movie theater in Charleston, and they would do once a month the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So I glam rock gothed it up. Went, and I was a different kind of cat while I was there. I don't know, something about it made me feel sleeker, made me feel a little more outgoing. I was able to talk to people when I normally couldn't. I think there's some empowerment behind wearing costumes that you're not only is that you're more fearless because when you're wearing 8 pounds of fur and 5 pounds of foam, but slipping into the skin of a different character, even if it's Neo from Matrix, allows you to be a little more wild than you normally would be.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that's true, and it's for that style of person that likes, theater background or something like that. They like to be on stage. They like to perform. That, like you said, it gives you a perfect opportunity to do that and to be somebody you're not. It's something I personally struggle with, though. When I'm in costume, I do costuming because I love the process of building a costume and making it look amazing.
Yes.
I don't particularly enjoy wearing costumes.
Really?
It's kind of strange. I like making them. So when I'm in costume on the con floor, I feel awkward and I feel embarrassed because I'm like, I'm not this character and I don't, I don't know, it's interesting. And of course, if I have a drink or two, it helps a little bit. I can relax a little bit.
Would you say that it could be based on, connected to in any way, one of two things that I was thinking of? From what I know about you, one, that you've now become the center of attention in some way.
Yes. Yeah, I don't like being the center. I don't like having my picture taken.
Yeah, and then everybody, especially in what you wore, like the first day there with the group costumes that were amazing. Yeah. I feel in that situation that whilst I don't like my picture being, if you took my picture right now, I'd be embarrassed no matter what angle, no matter what I'm wearing. But when I'm in the costume, you're not taking a picture of me. You're taking a picture of
the costume.
Aang, the Last Airbender, or whatever it is I am at that moment. It's not me.
I don't recommend Aang for you, but if you really want to.
I'm more of an Appa.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'm the boulder.
You could do a really good boulder.
I'll do the boulder.
I think you should do the boulder.
Maybe we just sealed the idea of maybe what we do next. No. So what, my other idea, maybe, is with how you and I both are kind of perfectionists.
Yeah,
Are you worried that the lack of detail that you imagine is there, people are noticing?
That's part of it. Yeah, I think part of it is that I don't like to have attention. I don't like my picture taken. And that makes me feel awkward. And yeah, the other aspect is that I'm been my biggest critic, and I'm sitting there looking at and knowing that the picture you're taking of this costume isn't what I want it to be. And that can be frustrating as well. I'm weird like that, I guess. I think most people, when they're in costume, are like you said, they feel empowered. There were some people, I don't know, actually, I don't know who he was, and if he ever listens to this, dude, you're awesome, but I doubt you ever will. But anyway, there was a dude who was cosplaying Finn from the new Star Wars.
Yeah.
And he was freaking picture perfect. He was great. He looked like the character, which helps a lot. But his costume itself was just spot on perfect.
Yeah.
Really did a great job. And we got a picture with him, and he was nervous, and you could tell that he was like embarrassed to be in costume. And it's sort of like how I know I am. And I felt bad because I understood how he felt. But meeting him, it was like, I hope that that's how people see me. It's like, dude, you don't need to be nervous. Your costume's awesome. Be excited. I don't know. That's something I need to work on more. I've only ever been in costume a couple of times. This year was by far the most I've ever done costumes.
You had two fairly big costumes.
Yeah, we did a group costume of the Powerpuff Girls as Jedi.
When I first heard it, I didn't understand it, and then as the costumes came together, and then when I saw the final photographs, amazing.
It ended up being great. It was the three sisters, and then I was the professor. And I did it, honestly, I did my costume last minute, like week and a half before con. Is just Jedi.
But you had so much clothing involved.
I was dying with heat.
Trust me,
it was brutal. But no, that costume went over really, really well. We got this amazing response, more than I've ever seen from a costume I've been involved with before. Like I said, I haven't done a lot myself, but I've helped with others. Huge response, and that felt good, but at the same time, it was still kind of weird feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did Deckard and Rachel costume as well, and we worked really hard on that, and we've got a lot more to go. And we didn't get our picture taken as much because not as many people know that series, but we got a lot of great feedback from that. There were some people. I remember there was a group of guys, ladies that loved it. And we were talking to them about the movie. We're like, yeah, this is the first year we're doing this costume. We want to keep improving on it and making it better each year so that 2019, which is when the movie takes place, we want to make it perfect.
That's perfect.
And they were like, oh my God, this is the first time you've done this costume. It's amazing. And I'm looking at it like, no, it's not. My pants are wrong. The gun's not perfect. The jacket's not right. They loved it though. So yeah, I don't know. That's something I'm personally working on.
This is the role of a crafter that we've discussed before. Yeah, I've thrown things up on the table that I have made that I had rigged up maybe last minute, and I've gotten great praise. Yeah. I've put pictures out there, and people have said, how do you do that? Yeah. Not, hey, good job, but I do not know how you even put that together to make it look so great. Yeah. Blew my mind. And I think every now and again we have to just trust in our ability, and I mean your artistic eye. The idea of having the Powerpuff Girls as Jedi is bat crap crazy. Yeah. But it's brilliant at the same time because the colors of the girls and the lightsabers work very well.
Oh,
the idea of
beautifully,
and the mentor, because they weren't exactly like robe wearing Jedi.
No, they were Star Warsy looking enough.
Very much so.
There were pieces in there that were, one had the fighter pilot, the X-wing pilot vest on.
Yeah,
pieces like that were buns in your hair.
It was a great homage.
What made me happiest about that is, I'll take credit for this, I was the one that thought of this costume, the idea of it, and the number of people that said, that is such a great idea for, not even just, hey, you guys did a great job with that costume, but the idea is great, made me feel really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun.
It stands out as iconic, and I think that's the kind of costume, because you have the novelty and the humor of the Powerpuff Girls, that you could be zany, and then the Jedi where you can be badasses, striking poses. Right. You don't just stand there with the sword like a little kid for Halloween. Yeah. You're striking a pose. Yeah. You're battle ready. You're looking cool. And I think that's part of empowering yourself to put on that other skin, live through it for at least a day. It's worth trying if you haven't done it before.
But yeah, going back to the idea, you're talking about empowering, and I was talking about how I don't feel necessarily comfortable in costume as much as other people. It made me think about looking forward to costuming next year, and I've got a couple of options that I want to explore because of this. Because when I'm in an outfit, I feel kind of weird. One would be a costume that covers my face. Has a mask, a helmet, whatever the case may be, because I feel like in that way, nobody's looking at my facial expression. When they're taking my picture, they're not taking my picture. Like you said, they're absolutely taking a picture of the costume. Yes. Because that's all they can see. They can't see me.
They don't know it's you.
It's just my costume. And so for me as a creator, I feel like that's more attractive is, you're taking a picture of the armor I made rather than me in the armor. The other option, and I saw several costumes this year that kind of went this direction and it inspired me to, I think I maybe might do this, if not next year, then the years down the road, is a costume involving music. There were several ones this year. My favorite was a stormtrooper who had red armor with the stripes down the side, so it looked like a
tracksuit.
Yeah, tracksuit. It looked like a tracksuit. And he had like this huge boombox, and he had a medallion, big gold medallion, and he would carry the boombox around, and he would like, dance around.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a really fun idea. So one of the ideas I have going forward, and I don't know how feasible it is, would be a Gandalf costume, right? Where it's, spot on, picture perfect Gandalf. Except that I would shout out, "You shall not dance!" or something like that. And as I did, I would activate my staff, which would have a stereo built into it. I would start shooting disco lights out and, pumping house music, and then I could dance. And because I feel like giving me the opportunity to dance a little bit, to be in costume. One of the things I don't like when I'm in costume and having my picture taken is posing.
Having to stand still.
Yeah, you pose.
Well, like even your Deckard.
Yeah.
He's kind of a buttoned-up character.
But I'm really awkward when it's like, okay, I gotta pose like a... Whereas if I'm... Oh, no, I'm just gonna get funky, and you can take my picture as I'm getting funky and dancing. Funky Gandalf. That's awesome.
Gandalf.
I really like that idea going forward. Because
would you bring a cadre of dancing hobbits?
Possibly, yes. If there are hobbits involved that want to do hobbit costumes, that was what we talked about, is maybe I just have a group of people following me, and we just turn it on,
It'd be kind of fun if they had the costumes are perfect.
Yeah.
But they were saturated with like the highlighter ink or whatever that catches.
Yeah.
Black light. And so.
Had a black light in the end of
my
staff.
Black light in the staff. When you turn it on, all of a sudden they kind of neon out a little bit, especially if it's a dark corner of the room.
That's exactly kind of what I'm thinking about. So I don't know. We'll see.
Now, at the convention, there are a lot of the vendors who do sell the costume pieces. I'm sure you can get leather bracers, you can get the T-shirts we talked about.
Yeah.
But one of the big aspects, the draw for me, is I'm going to save up on some of my paychecks heading into the con just to have money to spend.
Yes. I did that purposefully. Usually I don't buy much.
Yeah.
I usually buy little gifts for friends, and that's about it. This year I went in anticipating and planning on buying some stuff for myself, and I did.
I feel like you do have to spend not a ton, and this may sound like a lot, but a couple $100, like $100, $200 just on swag.
I took $200 in cash with me, and I spent a large portion of that, a good portion of that.
Took out a second mortgage, spent some of that too.
No, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I could if I had the money available.
Yeah.
There's so much awesome stuff down there, but I got a few things that I've been meaning to get for years and decided to this year.
I think always, I saw a joking meme put online about what the convention floor looks like, and you can see like all the people are surrounding the lightsaber building area, and then the gaming dice. Because I know that I would buy
the
at least.
booth is crazy.
I have so much dice already, but I love ChessX. I would probably buy a new set of dice every convention I go to, and that would become. What are those? Is that the Gemini blue and teal? Like, no, this is Gen Con 2016, or this is the DragonCon 2017.
Yeah, that's my Dragon. Yeah, I used to do that. I used to try and get dice from them every year, and I kind of gave up because it's such a pain to get to their booth.
You gotta throw some wicked elbows.
You gotta kind of squeeze in. And for me, it's like, I don't know. That's one of the vendors where I'm at the point where it's like, I'll just buy it on their website later. Because they're a national brand, because they're so easy to find. I mean, most of the vendors there have web stores, but them especially, because you find their stuff for sale at every gaming store in the country. It's like, okay, whatever.
But they oftentimes will have a limited run D6 that have stamps.
They have unusual things. They have great deals there too.
Okay.
I've gotten a couple of gaming mats from them that were like slightly mismanufactured. I could never find any flaw with them at all.
Yeah,
but they were like $3 for these great games. So they do awesome deals at the con. So that's for the big guys like them. Troll and Toad is there every year, and they have really nice deals on stuff too. So. They're worth visiting, if no other reason for that. But what really interested me more is, the guys that, like I said, that I know they have web presences, but I don't see them as much. And, that's, you go there for that. Something like, something I got personal this year, Crit Success. They make the D20 dice rings.
Yeah.
I decided to get one this year because they're not that expensive. I think it was $25 for the D20. I've wanted one of those since they got started a couple years ago. They were cool, and I was like, you know what, time is right. I went to pick one up. Their service was like phenomenal.
You were mentioning something about
they have an insane
service.
They do well. The guy was super nice, helped me fit it. Was super knowledgeable and quick. But their return policy is insane. Like he was like, bring this ring back to me next convention. Give it to me, and I'll give you a new one. No questions asked. I'll change it out for a different one. Whatever. Wow. So just really cool service. And there were a couple other companies that I talked to there that I didn't buy anything from that were like that as well.
What else do they have? I mean, I know you're gonna find some prop replicas, I'm sure, too.
Yeah, there's a couple of different shops that do. There's a couple that do sword and gun replicas that are really nice. The sword ones especially are pretty nice. There's a company there every year called Arsenal Models that I like, that I got the blaster I have for my Decker costume. I got from them. It's a resin. They do resin casts.
Because they're one of the companies that will go to if I'm not mistaken, things like this. They'll go to auctions and they will buy the props from the movies, do castings of them, make resin
casts of that. Yeah. So you're getting the movie prop. You just have to paint it and clean it up, which is nice. I mean, like the Decker gun it worked really well for what I wanted to do. I'm probably going to change that prop going forward, just so I can put lighting in it and stuff. But I mean, they make neat stuff, for sure. Geek Chic was there. They're there every year. They do gaming tables and furniture. They always have a fun booth. They're one of the ones that I'll probably never buy from because, their cheapest table is like $1,200.
I'm pretty sure I've seen them online. I'm pretty sure I've checked out a few of their tables and tried to find one within my price range. And I believe that if I had the expendable income, that's what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is when I hit the lottery thing.
Not even hit the lottery. If I just get a slightly better job, then I might want to save up for it. A little bit of money from every paycheck for a year, because that becomes the central gaming piece in your den. But they tend to have the tables that still sort of can be obscured as your regular.
Yeah, you can use it as a dining room table. Yeah. There was another company too this year, and I didn't get their card. I apologize. And I'm trying to remember their full name. It was Carolina something. And I remember that just because the Carolina part, I think they're in North Carolina.
It's another gaming table?
But they make gaming tables as well.
I have seen them as well.
Honestly, theirs aren't as nice, but they're also not as expensive. And he was telling us that they're made in a furniture factory, so theoretically they're higher quality. They made nice stuff too, but the Geek Chic guys, like their high-end tables are just blow your mind, incredible, really nice stuff. Let's see. I do want to give a shout out to Outer Rim Toys and Out of the Toy Box Jewelry. I think it's a husband and wife, and they each run their own little company. They're there every year, and we've gotten stuff from them every year. They do jewelry, or she does jewelry. The Out of the Toy Box jewelry, like little lightsaber earrings, like Lego lightsaber.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that company, but I have seen some people, and they're on Etsy. So if that might
same
be them.
Idea. It's not anything that you couldn't necessarily do yourself, but you pay them the premium to do it. They do good quality work. They're really nice people. So, like I said, I want to give them a shout out because they're awesome. Another booth that I saw this year that I'm really interested in following up on, really, really, really cool idea, called Personify. Personify3D.com to be specific. They do custom scanning and 3D printing. So the idea, and they had it set up in their booth, you go to their booth in your costume, you stand on their little platform, and they spin you around slowly, and they scan you. And then right there, they 3D print you.
I have seen this company before.
And that's such a cool idea.
There's a YouTube personality that I know who did that with his family. And what was cool is that they all took a standing shot.
Yeah.
And each person got their own figurine of themselves. The mom, the dad, the little baby, the medium son, and the older, she's still like 11 years old daughter. And then they did a portrait of all of them together in this 3D,
like big model.
Big model of them all facing outward. It's just gorgeous work. the colors appear to be a little muted.
Yeah,
but
it's 3D printing, so the colors look a little strange, but
it's amazing.
Really
what
cool
you can
idea.
do.
Like if you did a costume and you loved your costume and you wanted to commemorate it, I can't think of a better way to do that.
Some of our Star Trek friends would just freak out to have that because their costumes are usually screen accurate.
Yeah.
Or if it's the video game, the pips are exactly where they need to be. The color is the exact color it should be.
So especially if you're playing a character that's very personal to you. It's a great way of having a keepsake of that.
I think the next level of that, I don't know if it's something they could do, but to do that in, I guess it's 28mm miniatures. Mm-hmm. So you could literally make
gaming versions of
gaming version of yourself in that costume. Because what we've always ruminated about before is to play a tabletop game based on yourself as a character.
Yeah, put yourself
in a
fantasy world.
Your ugly butt on a figurine that would play in a 1 inch equals 5 foot sort of gaming environment.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because they have different sizes. I don't remember what their smallest size is. I don't think it's quite that small. But yeah, their smallest size is like $100 per scan. So it's not cheap, but it's not break the bank.
But if this is something that your family is doing, I can imagine 100 different ways that this would be important to families. Or that costume, because if you got a screen quality costume, $100 for a scan, that ain't a bad price.
No, it's not. Like I said, I can't. That's such a great keepsake. So,
and then I believe they give you the software so you can look at that scan.
Yeah, they give you the 3D model so that you can take it home. You can have it in your computer. Like that's the other neat thing of their booth is they have the screen up and they're like editing the model so you can see it's in whatever Blender or whatever the program they use.
Yeah,
really cool. So you could put it if you're making a video game, you could put yourself into your video game.
Oh, that's fun!
Kind of a neat idea.
Endless possibilities. I did want to bring up Norse Foundry.
Yeah.
2 things I like about them. 1, the quality of the product. 2, they have the name Foundry in the name of their company.
They do. I love it.
Which is not bad. You, as a gift, and I'm incredibly thankful for it, got me a massive D20.
Yeah.
I don't know. This feels like it weighs a good solid pound.
The boulder.
2 pound. It's called the boulder.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful brassy gold color. And I've seen these folks before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen them online, but it was cool to meet them.
They have other different types of dice. They have different metals and gemstones.
They do a lot of metallic dice, but they also do, cut out of, not necessarily gems, but like fine stone, translucent stone. They get pricey. I looked at getting a set of those because they're just beautiful, but they are pretty expensive. But yeah, they have a lot of metallic dice that are really reasonable in price, and really nice quality. Just fun, different dice. The weight of a metallic die is just really rewarding in your hand.
It is rewarding. I want to roll this, but I feel like I would do literal damage to the gaming surface.
You do have to be careful.
Or the player on the end of the table if it rolls over the edge. It's a fantastic piece of geek finery.
Yeah. Yeah, if nothing else, because it's nice and shiny and gold, it's pretty to look at. Some of their other ones that are gunmetal seem more useful. You really only use it, but the gold, like I said, is almost pretty to look at as it is to use.
What other ones did you run into that you thought were like can't misses or?
Well, speaking of rolling dice, there's a company that I can't speak highly enough of. WormwoodGaming.com.
I know Wormwood. I remember seeing their Kickstarter.
So they did a Kickstarter apparently a while back on their Dice Tower, which I'm pulling up our website so we can look at it really quick. I ran upstairs. They were on the 3rd level this year, so they were kind of off by themselves. The 3rd level of vendors this year, because it was new, was quieter, which was nice. You could kind of have more elbow room. And I ran up there, and there was nobody at their booth, and there was a really nice sales lady. I'm sorry I didn't get your name, but she and we talked for like 10 minutes about their product. She walked me through them. Just amazing. They're on the level of like the Geek Chic, like the gaming tables.
Yeah.
Because they get very expensive. Their dice, I mean, this would have been your gift, honestly. Gift for all of our friends would have been the dice towers. But their cheapest one is out of red oak, and it's like over $100, or no, close to $100 for the complete set. But beautiful hand-worked wood. The dice tower breaks down. It's all connected with rare earth magnets, so you can break it down, but it's really solid when it's together. And it fits into a little box that has a leather strap. It comes with a little dice holder. It's just beautiful. They have all these like really high-end woods. Their most expensive one, dice tower, is $1,000 because it's like some sort of rare ebony, and it's beautiful.
I've seen companies do things like this, and I have seen Wormwood, and I was taken with their dice boxes.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
They have some, I believe, that are just the sleeve, and then some that have the individual wells for dice. Also, the rare earth magnets to hold the lid on top. I think they also do custom work as well, engraving.
If you go to the website, they do like pearl inlay, all kinds of really amazing stuff.
That's something that I wouldn't even say it's on my bucket list, because while there is a cost involved, some of the smaller things are pretty reasonable if gaming is more than your hobby, and for us, gaming is a little bit more than just a hobby. So I think that's a company that I will be patronizing. But not like, hey, you guys are... But actually being a patron of them here at some point relatively soon.
I've got a flyer here, and this is something I'm going to do because they're getting ready to do a new Kickstarter for this, and I thought this would be interesting to you.
Ooh, you just handed me the flyer.
It's a GM screen that they're getting ready to do. They had
with a dice tower built into it?
With a dice tower built in.
Shut the front door.
So they had a prototype. She said they're not selling them yet. Yeah. They're going to do a Kickstarter for them. And then they'll go on sale. They do have prices on there, though, so you can start to see. They're not cheap, but they're compartmentalized, so you can buy different components. You can almost assemble your screen the way you want.
Yeah.
They have some that are just simple wooden frame with you can slip like map in so that people can see it, and you can dry erase directly on it. Mm-hmm. They have others that flip. So rotate around so you can flip it over.
That's what that is.
They have built in top a little tray where you can drop in their wooden pieces with the class names, so you have your initiative tracker.
Oh, wow. I can see that.
The dice tower that's built in, I love this. There's a little switch in the back, and you can flip it. So one way it rolls public out the front of the dice screen, the other way it rolls back behind the screen.
Because
so
my dice, they roll secret because I don't want you to know the heck that's coming your way.
Exactly. So just, again, same high level quality work. They were genuinely awesome, super nice, informative. Let me look at their stuff and didn't heckle me for not buying any of it because it's very expensive. But I'm looking forward to their Kickstarter. I'm definitely going to give them what I can when it comes out because they just make some cool stuff.
Now, what I like about this, I have seen something similar, but it wasn't made of wood. I've seen people make these Game Master screen walls that are collapsible, but you buy the unit. Yeah. It's not something that sort of piecemeal so you get exactly what you need.
That's what I loved about theirs it's all rare earth magnets and they stick together. So you can build your own wall like, oh, I need more big flippy things to put because we use a lot of maps in my games. Yeah. So, or I need more small stuff with initiative trackers, or whatever the case may be.
And I've seen companies that do that, but it's usually plastic on plastic. It's not the handcrafted kind of quality where you can pick different types of wood. Okay, so red oak, cherry, black walnut, which I think is gorgeous. Yeah. Bolivian. Oh, they have the Purple Heart. I have seen where they do the dice box.
It's
Purple Heart
pink wood.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
Gabon Ebony? Gabon Ebony?
Yeah, that's the one that's like $1,000 on their dice tower. It's very expensive, but it's like dark, almost black wood. It's really beautiful.
Bolivian rosewood. Yeah. Now, I do have a personal thing against anything or anyone named Rosewood, but that goes back into a roleplay game session that we can talk about another time. Okay. This is really cool, yeah. I'll be worth checking out.
I mean, that's what I like about the vendors there, is that there are guys like that there. That there's also other, cute people, cute shops that have little keepsakes, those little boxed figures from Japan that are cute, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
There's plenty of that there, too, but there's also these types of vendors there that I love to death, and it makes you want to go back every day and just to look again and just to talk to them again. Yeah. On
this episode's Table Topics, I want to talk to you a little bit about actually going to the gaming convention, or as a player, going to a game somewhere else and being prepared. On the last episode, we discussed a little bit about, is it worth your time going to...
Gaming at DragonCon or something
official gaming. But if you were to do so, and not just officially, but even going to someone else's home or locally, going to a game, some of the tips that I had, and I want to know your feedback, if you had anything extra on top of that, about how to prepare.
To get ready for a new game.
To get ready for a new game that you've never been there before, because if it is societal play... You've never played with this group. You may not even know what you're getting into. You are tabula rasa. You are blank mind, just jumping into it with whatever you think your character to be. So the obvious thing is you need to have your character sheet ready.
Well, 100%. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I've had people come to my games where their character still isn't ready. And they may have only just leveled up. And I think if you don't have time to level up in an entire week, you didn't level up.
Yeah.
So if you're not ready... Game on, you'll have to do it next time. You do suffer without having the extra benefits, but that's on you.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm trying to punish you for not knowing, but you have to have your stuff together.
Be prepared.
And it's more about being fair to everybody else, especially if this is societal play.
Yeah.
You need to make sure your character is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
You can't be pulling spells out that are unofficial.
Right, yeah. You can't fudge the rules at all.
It can't be a third-party guide that comes up with something. It has to be... stuff that's been approved. And so going through it in advance will help you from having to make last-minute changes or even being asked to leave the table. You may be cut out of play, and you wouldn't get, depending on what type of societal play, you may not get credit for having been there.
Right.
Which, this might be the way you level up for the next time. Maybe you wanted to be level 5 before you went to Gen Con. And here's the time to do it. It'll be your fault. So you got to stay on top of that kind of thing.
You need to be ready. I mean, not only just from the practical standpoint of you need to be ready so you can play, but it also shows respect to the GM and the other players that, I'm ready to join in your game and that I know my character, I know my sheet.
Another thing that's combined with that is that you need to have all the materials printed. This is a Pathfinder Society rule in particular. For example, if I were to purchase the book online and I only printed the pages that matter to me, I need to have the stamp with my name on it. It can't even be your name. It has to be my owned materials if I don't have the book. That way someone doesn't digitally fudge what the numbers should say to give yourself any sort of unfair advantage. This happens in games a lot that I play where people go, I'll just look it up on my phone. And what if the internet's spotty? God forbid you're at DragonCon, and what was the internet like there? If you paid for it.
Yeah, well, in the rooms, you had to pay quite a pretty penny. The phone connections were meh.
So you would need that guaranteed high-speed internet to be able to look up your spells, and then find it and have them all tabbed. And doing it on a phone, I can't tell if that's accurate or not. You need to be able to hand me the book and say, here's that spell, and here's what it means, because... no game master is going to memorize every single spell effect and every single item, equipment's
some
stats.
of them might, but
so if you are, kudos to you. I've only just recently been able to start spouting off some things that I know about weapon size and damage, but I still have no idea. So, tell me what that does again.
Yeah.
If you're looking at your phone, I'm less inclined to trust you. If you've got your book open, I know that maybe I can look in my book at the same place, and I know you're not pulling something from a third-party source. Yeah. So especially when it's society play, you have to have that. Otherwise, it doesn't count, and you can be kicked out of play. Another thing I would always suggest is having extra paper, pens, and pencils.
Something to take notes with.
Take notes, because you run into that one bad guy or that one diplomat, that one ambassador. You talk to the king, and then you use his name wrong. If you're speaking in character...
you're in trouble.
You are in so much trouble. I've had an NPC that my players could never remember the name of the guy.
Yeah.
It's Adric. That's a fairly easy name.
Who's Adric?
Yeah, it was Alan...
Arctic?
Ampersand?
Taco?
Yeah, Taco.
Jimmy Tacos.
It's flippin' Adric, and he has an axe. And if you don't sleep with one eye open, he may bury it in your forehead because you don't remember his name. So just writing stuff down, especially if this is a track where you've played 2/3 and going to 2/4, you're going to want to keep notes that you can sort of collaborate with your old notes later, moving into the next game, so you kind of know what to expect, or when that name comes back up, you know who the heck it really is. Especially in a homebrew, this isn't something you can look up in a book. This is something that someone else created. And it, again, you said respect. Mm-hmm. They spent time building a story for you. Taking notes is simple respect.
It's like in a classroom. Mm-hmm. You know, a teacher is there teaching you. You show them respect by listening and, you know, integrating the information you're being given, because that shows respect to the speaker. Yeah.
But odds are, in a situation like this, you're not going to be able to memorize just by listening. Right. There are some things that are going to slip past you. Yeah. You ought to take some kind of notes. Yeah. Another thing I would suggest is bringing extra dice. Mm-hmm. You never know when. Yeah. You never know when you're gonna. Oh, my D6 is missing. Mm-hmm.
Or you never know when your usually reliable fire-colored Chessex D20, which you use constantly in every game because it rolls really well, all of a sudden it's rolling like crap, and you need to switch out. Yep. You never know. You got to be prepared for that. You always need a second, at least one backup D20.
And what I like is knowing that the person who is playing next to me, what happens if they left their gaming bag behind, but at least they have their character sheet, and they want to be able to play. I can loan them my dice. Sure. I always buy extra dice at home, so if I have a person play with me for the first time, I like to give them dice if someone else already isn't going to buy them dice, like their boyfriend or their husband or something. I like to give them some dice. So having extra on hand either allows you to, okay, this D20 is rolling pitifully. I got to get out of the funk somehow, roll something different. Or just having extra on hand because maybe you're rolling a 2d6. Just roll 2d6. Don't keep rolling the d6
don't roll the same 6 more than once. Yeah,
just anything to speed up gameplay is a godsend to a game master.
Absolutely.
Having a couple minis around is great too. Mm-hmm. Something that looks kind of like your character. And then maybe a couple of extra ones, because if you're a necromancer and you all of a sudden you cast something that creates a swarm of rats,
that's
at least something can be that swarm of rats.
Yeah, if you know you have summoned monster and you're going to summon a skeleton that game, probably you have a skeleton mini with you too. Yeah.
If you have an animal companion, if all you have is a D4 that you could set on the table to be your animal companion, but if it looks something like your animal companion, spend $2 or $3 online getting something that looks kind of like your companion, even if it's a little elemental. Yep. And that'll add more realism, and it'll show the other players that you care about what's going on.
You've thought about the night.
Yeah, you don't just reach in your pocket, grab a dime, and go, here's my summoned Eidolon. Like, no, that doesn't cut it. Always bring a drink, I think. Depending on where it is, sometimes they don't allow drinks on the gaming floor, but at least a bottle of water. Yeah. You don't have to have a beer. You don't have to have a soda. Sometimes you might need the caffeine, but having a water or something to help get you through the game. Also, I mean, we have trail mix on hand even here at this recording, but that's pure energy fuel. You got a little bit of sugar, you've got some protein, you've got some starch, just whatever it is that gets you through.
Yeah, be ready with the supplies that you need to make it through the game. Yeah, absolutely.
Even for your internal human battery.
Sure.
And a Nutri-Grain bar, a pack of crackers, just even a little bag of airline peanuts in your pocket can help get you through a hump. The games last maybe a couple hours at a time, and it may be a while till lunch or dinner. If you're starting to fade, it's up to you to peak back up.
Yeah, I've definitely been in games where I'm completely out of it, and it's no fun for you, and it's no fun for the other players to have one of the players completely out of it. So,
now, depending on where you go, sometimes the game master or whoever's hosting will have food or drinks. Sure. So it is nice in those instances to bring something yourself to share. It shows you do care about the group, you care about being there, and the game master will want you back. If all you do is mooch and you never give back, if somebody needs to take a break and we have a new player coming in, you're likely to be the first one out the door. Yeah. Not always, it's not that sort of a tit for tat, but it helps. If the one person is always bringing in fantastic baked pastries from where they work, they probably have a more solid place at the gaming table than you think. It just helps. If you have a friend who works at a brewery and can bring, delicious beverages to the games, they probably have a pretty stable place at your table.
Sure.
The last thing I'd suggest you bring is a willingness to play along and a good attitude.
Yeah.
This isn't something that's physical, but
yeah.
no matter what happens, you're probably going to play with people you don't get along with, or you may not see eye to eye.
Yeah.
But if your character, this is you, but if your character isn't willing to just go along with it, if you were to meet in that tavern and you were to look at that barbarian and go, I don't like the look of him, and would walk back out the door, then you should just walk away from that table.
Yeah.
But if you go, I am willing to do the best I can and to keep myself and these other players from getting killed, that's what leads to good collaborative play. If you're there with a bad attitude, maybe you had a bad day at work, maybe you had a long drive to the convention, you have to table that. Well, not table. You have to put it away. You have to save it for another time. Yeah, take it away from this table because once you saddle up to the table, you are hyper-focused on having an amazing adventure with some open-minded people.
Yep.
I think you should always be the most open-minded, ready for whatever comes, and try to add a little bit of your own character's flavor, even if they get stubborn from time to time. But a game master always wants to hear, yes, how can we do this, instead of, no, I don't like him, no, I don't want to do that. It's just a willingness to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the two biggest things I would add to that, we sort of touched on them, would be both kind of mental issues rather than physical. Because I think you touched on, you need your character sheet, you need your dice, you need your drinks, you need the physical tools you need.
A creature comforts.
You need to have all that. That goes without saying. Comfortable clothing, I would also say.
Good point.
Be ready for the environment.
Maybe a thin jacket if it's cold, and that way you can take it off if it's hot. Sure.
Be ready. And actually, as an aside on that same token, some clothing that might help you get into character. I've done that before, is just putting a hood up on a hoodie or something can help you personally feel more like your character. And, you can play around with that.
Very much so. Even as a game master, I do give pluses to the players. If you're wearing what can be argued as a costume piece, not a full, you don't have to go crazy, but your character would wear leather bracers, and you have leather bracers. If you wear them, then you can cash in a +1 to any dice roll at any time before you roll it.
It's a solid rule. A solid rule. I like that.
Even if it's a token that you wear around your neck, if it's a talisman and I can see it, and you say, oh, I want to use this point, this +1, go ahead. And in some of my games, that has meant life and death.
Yeah. So something like that I think is nice on the physical aspect. For the mental aspect, I would say two things. First of all, know the rules. Be ready to play the game. The game aspect of the game. Especially, I would say, in society play, you need to know what you're getting into. Don't have a society game be your first game. Just, you never want to, and especially when it applies to your character, you never want to show up to a game and then your first action in combat is, so guys, what spells should I have at level 1 as a wizard? No, that's not the time to know that. Or, hey, how do spells work?
You'll be sent away from the table.
You need to be prepared for how the game works. You need to be prepared for the rules of the game, how you move, how you roll. And, if it's your first game and your friends are inviting you over to play your first game, they'll kind of understand and they'll help you along with that kind of thing. But especially if you're going into a new game where it's a new group and they expect you to walk in and be able to play the game, you need to be able to play the game. You need to know what's going on.
Yeah, you should know the rules fairly well. If you know the rules okay and you're still encountering issues where you're playing, it may be that you haven't prepared enough.
Yeah.
Knowing exactly what that spell does. You may need to look it back up as a refresher.
Yeah, and that's okay to have to look up certain things, especially esoteric things that don't necessarily relate to character. But.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to hit you with a sword, and it does something special. It will either stun you, it will either shake you, or it will... Those are the exact same things in my mind, but stunned and shaken are two different things in the rule book. So knowing what that means to someone's armor class or their ability to move is important, and you don't have to memorize it perfectly, but if you read through exactly what your character can do before the game begins, hopefully the game master can pick up the subtleties of your play and move on, and when you do need to look up exactly what that one spell does again, it's not a big deal, as opposed to every time it's your turn, you have to look up the spell.
Yeah, I think the other thing would be ready to play your character. Especially if going into a new group, have an understanding of what you want your character to be personality-wise, what they do, what drives them. You need to be able to get into your character. If you get invited to a game and you're like, I don't know, I'm a human barbarian and I hit things with a sword. Okay, that's great, but that's pretty dull. If you're going to show up and all you do is follow the group around, say monosyllabic sentences, and go, yes, no, I am Grognar, and hit things with a sword in combat, that's pretty dull. Show up and have a character in mind. It doesn't have to be anything advanced. It can be a classic trope. You can be the haughty wizard if you want. That's great. But show up and be ready to play a character, because that's what makes a game fun.
I've watched a lot of videos about character building, and there's something that I don't think that they've touched on that is super important to me. Your character can be rather shallow, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just have to decide why your character isn't dead yet.
Yeah.
If you are a monosyllabic barbarian who's kind of good at what they do, who's going to hire you to do any jobs? Why is it that you are who you are? I was a slave. Okay, we've heard that before. It works as a story.
Sure.
What else? Why are you not still a slave? And with a couple of those questions answered, you can fulfill your character's backstory in just a few seconds.
Yeah, it's nothing. You don't have to have anything complicated. And like I said, I think it's perfectly okay, especially going into a group you never met before, especially if you're playing if you know you're not going to be if you're doing society play. You're not going to be playing a lot of games of this. You don't have to have a deep backstory.
Right.
You don't, because the GM's probably not going to explore your character's backstory.
Not much
FYI. They're running the game they already have.
They're going to give you 30 seconds to go, hey guys, you met me in the tavern. Over the course of drinking for 30 minutes, you can tell that I'm rather mouthy, I'm cavalier and brash, but I also seem to be very honest and care about those who care about me, and I take care of my friends. So you find me to be rather trustworthy and a staunch companion. And that description,
that's great.
That's who you are.
You should show up prepared to play the entire game that way.
Yeah.
So that if you encounter the big bad guy, you should probably say something mouthy, because that's who your character is. So be ready to, be in a position to understand your character and show up to play that character.
So don't only have your body right, and not only do you need your papers correct, but you also need your mind right to enjoy the game to its fullest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we wrap up the episode, we've got a lot of things on the horizon. Some that we've literally mapped out. You've mapped some out on your marker board of adventure.
The very first thing you do driving home from DragonCon is start planning your costumes for the next year. So.
What is next?
We started on it already, yeah.
I've heard some of your ideas. You've heard some of my terrible ideas. I'm constantly grinding out new ideas. I'll see a commercial and go, oh, I could be that guy. I could be that thing. Because my original plan was to have DragonCon be my first con. And I love the idea of that, but I also like the idea of building up. Going to some smaller things that are a little different, and then finally I go to the big ball. Yeah. I go to the prom.
Sure.
Like, I want to go to...
let's go to the fall dancing lessons first.
I'm taking dancing lessons. I got to get my tux ready. We're going to go to the fall social. Then we're going to go to the Valentine's dance, and then prom.
Okay.
So I'm pretty excited about that. We have some ideas that we already had laid the groundwork for. Just wasn't time to get into it that we'll be doing here soon.
Yep.
Some collaborative efforts.
Yeah, some videos we want to do, some more alternate audio stuff other than just this podcast, although absolutely we're going to continue the FoundryCast, but a couple other podcasts we want to try and get into as well. Some other planning things. I know I've got some projects that I'm going to start on ASAP in addition to costuming for next year's DragonCon, which I'm going to do all I can to start on. Being at DragonCon inspired me to push even harder on another project that I'm going to start on soon. So,
would you say that it is better to start your costume now?
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel as if you do a costume now, and let's say you get it done in a couple months, and it's done. It's ready. It's sitting in the closet for 6 months, waiting. Yeah. Is that still a fulfilling thing to put on and take to the con?
Yes, because I know it's going to take me... If I'm going to do a big costume, I know it's going to take me that long to do it. Yeah. I'm not going to finish anything in 2 months. And if I did, it wasn't worth doing to begin with. But no, I going, the biggest lesson that I got from this year's DragonCon was it was a learning experience. Mm-hmm. And every DragonCon is a learning experience, but this one especially, I learned a lot about the way I want to do cons going forward. One of the biggest things I learned, because this was the first year I did a lot of costuming, was that I need to get it ready as soon as I can. There's danger of that too far out. If I finish my costume in February and then a game comes out in June that I love,
you'll do something else.
Now all of a sudden I want to do a new costume. So, doing something too far ahead is definitely a problem. Right. But at the same time, I want to get finished. I don't want to be finishing things in the hotel room, because that was not fun.
But I think that's something kind of neat. It's such a time suck. And it's such you're just so nervous to the last second. Mm. But then to go out on the floor the next day and in the back of your mind, I only finished soldering this at 3 a.m.
This glue still isn't dry.
This glue, I can still smell it because it's still not 100% adhered.
For me, that is just a miserable
feeling.
Miserable. I hate it.
I've had you guys come over a couple of times for game night where the paint is still drying on the terrain. Mm. So the first 30 minutes of us getting together is crucial for it to set before you get paint on your hands from what's
going on. You need to delay the party from getting to an encounter a little bit, just to let it dry. Yeah.
Why are we all getting high in here? It has nothing to do with my paint fumes. Sure. No. We do have a lot of new projects coming. Some of the video projects that we've really been wanting to do with time available, and I think that over the course of the next few weeks, we could start stepping into that realm.
Yeah, we have that time available, or I have that time available now.
At least a little more time available.
Sure, because I'm not pressed to get costumes done. So, we can get that done. We've got a little bit more equipment to work on and get set up just the right way we want. But
we have a few friends that we'd like to do a little more collaborating with if we can. Yeah. Some really brilliant ideas. RG Jerry has been doing a fantastic job on his own videos that we're going to be featuring more and more as we go.
We're trying to update our site with a little bit more of his stuff and get him more involved because he's done some awesome videos.
Yeah, I've been blown away by what he's produced so far, and I'm just glad to have him as a part of the Foundry team. We've got other people who are interested in sort of joining the ranks and putting their stuff out there, so that's something to look forward to for sure. Well, I guess that's going to wrap it up for us. With my channel, it is the Crafty Bastard Gamer on YouTube. You can also follow me at Crafty Bastard Gamer on Twitter and Instagram. Or actually, on Twitter, I'm Crafty B Gamer.
No, and, close enough.
Yeah, and on Twitter, you are 9to5 Gamer.
9to5 Gamer on Twitter, at 9to5 Gamer, whatever. I think I'm the same thing on Instagram and my YouTube channel, 9to5 Gamer. Digits not spelled out, 9 and then TO5 Gamer.
The best way to keep up with us is to go to the website, thefoundrycast.com, where the Foundry website exists.
thefoundrycast.wixsite.com/home is what it is right now. I think going forward we're going to invest in getting our own site address, whatever that ends up being.
And I'd like to challenge you to follow not only along with us, but as we move forward into other conventions and heading to DragonCon 2017, find a costume that you like. If you've never been to a convention before, that's okay. I haven't either, and I'm going to be barreling forward to DragonCon in 2017. Why don't you meet us there? I know a few of you out there have not been to DragonCon before, so why don't we all go together? Maybe not together like the same vehicle. Maybe we're not sharing a pillow or anything. But let's all share the con together. This has been the 2016 DragonCon wrap-up. As always, I am Scrooge McDuck's Lucky Dime.
And I am a taco that's gently wedged under a reclining chair that's been partway reclined.
And we'll see you next time on the FoundryCast.
Bye, guys. Snurf, Snurf.
Snurfer! Where we go now, Princess? Snurf, Snurf.
Oh, that's funny. Anyway.
Oh, Lionel!
Oh, that's Snurf trail mix.
Oh, no! I just snarfed some trail mix.